week on an Unearthly podcast, writer-director Nicholas Briggs brings us the closest thing we're going to get to an explanation of what happened to the TARDIS in The Pandorica Opens, starring Teeth and Curls, Cricket Boy, Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, Radagast, and Wild Bill Hickok. Okay, I was going to ask you if it was my computer streaming slow or if the stream itself was acting weird. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to an Unearthly podcast. I am the Man in Black. With me is Mad Matt Winchell.
Hello.
Ron Son McCulloch.
Always a pleasure.
And Eli.
Yo.
So, today we're going to be discussing the 50th anniversary special from Big Finish, Light of the End. But we also have a good amount of news to cover, as well as our mini review of the minisode Night of the Doctor.
Of course, there's a lot of news. It's 6 days till the actual show.
Yeah, so I'm fairly certain that while we're speaking, news will come up, but
probably
we're doing our best. So the first piece of news is Radio Times did a poll for the best Doctor and the best companion. Now, obviously, there's some bias to this because it's based on based on who can vote, who's seen things, and so forth. So we can safely assume that about half the fans have seen 10 to 20 seasons, and about half of them have seen 5 to 7 of them.
And we can probably exclude all the audio dramas.
I wouldn't say exclude completely, but probably about 10% of fans would include them, if or less.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see how far down. Yeah, Paul McGann is third to last of the Doctors, but David Tennant won with well over 50%. And anyone who's talked to me about David Tennant probably knows my theories as to why he would take such a percentage.
Because he's handsome.
Rose Tyler, yes, I voted for him. Well, I didn't vote for him, but I would have voted for him because he was handsome. That's exactly why.
Me too, buddy. Me too. I mean, what?
Rose Tyler won by much less of a lead. She had about half of his percentage points and was only 10% above her runner-up of Sarah Jane Smith.
Ooh,
This is actually relatively important because normally it's the standing Doctor that wins this poll. And I think Matt Smith.
I think Matt Smith might who does it annually? Is that Doctor Who magazine?
Yes.
It's the Radio Times.
And
Radio Times
yes.
is the one that does it annually, because I think Matt Smith won it once, but I think it's been mostly Tom Baker winning it since Matt Smith took over, I thought.
Yeah, I think the only time Matt Smith won it was...
Baker's always a high ranker.
Yeah. Baker this time is, by the way, the third with 10% of the popular vote.
But since Tenet came out in 2006, he's been regularly topping Baker for top of the poll. So this is not new.
I thought he only topped him 2 or 3 years.
2006, 2008, 2009.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And I think maybe 2010.
Okay.
But Matt Smith won in 2011.
Mm.
Or was that 2010?
I know
Matt Smith won at least twice.
I know there was a Baker right after Tennant's last run, so it was probably Tennant Baker Smith then. Maybe Tennant Baker Smith.
Yeah, but the fact that Tennant is once again in the lead is a sign that Smith's popularity has been dropping.
As well it should, with the past writing of the episodes he's been in.
But the past 2 seasons, yeah.
Yeah, so we have Tennant with 56, Matt Smith with just under 16%, Tom Baker with 10%, Eccleston has 6.5%. Then we drop down to the lower ones. Troutman has just under 3%. Pertwee has 2.3%. Peter Davison and Sylvester McCoy each are about 1.5%. So is Paul McGann. And then Hartnell and Baker each had just under 1% of the popular vote.
And, it does go to show...
Alan Baker, sorry.
Yeah, and it just goes to show... Tom Baker has not been the Doctor since 1982. And yet, here he is, 30 years later, and he's still topping the polls.
I think
it just goes to show how legendary that figure is.
Yeah,
how iconic.
I think popular culture might have a lot to do with that, because people who've never watched Doctor Who up until 2010 at least would hear Doctor Who and think of a Simpsons character with a scarf that looks like Tom Baker.
Yep.
Or something of that nature.
It never hurt that every time that the Doctor has been portrayed in American cartoons, it's always been Tom Baker. I mean, they did the same thing in the Family Guy Star Wars special.
No one watches Family Guy.
I saw the Star Wars special.
I'm relevant.
Even Epic Rap Battles of History, even though it was when they did their Doctor Who episode was during the Smith era, they started off.
Yeah, they even did Tom Baker.
Because they knew who who would have the draw.
Yep.
Hey, can I just say that I'm really surprised Paul McGann is where he was in that poll? Because I've watched some Paul McGann stuff since I listened to this story, not read it. I like his Doctor.
Sure, but he had one movie that a lot of people didn't like, and that was the only thing that most fans of his are familiar with.
Unless they're, of course, big Finnish fans.
And that's probably why he had a lead over Hartnell.
Yeah. I'm surprised Colin Baker is so far down there, too. Because, again, he's also an audio drama Doctor who's doing really well.
Yeah, but he was less liked on screen than even McGann, so it kind of makes sense.
I'll put to you like this. How I found out about the Sixth Doctor is I looked up the Sixth Doctor on the TARDIS wiki, or whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah, TARDIS data core now.
Yeah, that's the one. And I looked at the personality, and I immediately lost interest in him. So that could be it. People see Sixth Doctor, and they go to read the personality section of it and how people describe it, and they're like, I don't want to watch anything with that guy in it.
Again, the audio dramas have allowed him to get beyond that original personality.
I'm talking about popular vote, though. A lot of people don't listen to the audio dramas.
Alright. As for companions, this list is a lot longer, so I'm not going all the way down, but top 10 at least, we have Rose Tyler with 25%, Sarah Jane Smith with 15%, and she's, which makes sense, the most popular current and the most popular classic. Then we have Donna Noble, River Song, and Amy Pond from the new series. Jamie McCrimmon as the most popular... There's an echo coming somewhere.
I'm hearing it, thankfully.
No, that was actually, I think, Eli's opinion on what you said.
Yeah.
No, I was hearing my own voice.
Weird, I didn't hear it. And no one else did.
Neither did I. Nope.
As the top classic exclusive companion, we have Jamie McCrimmon. Then we have Jack Harkness, Ace, Clara, and Martha Jones, and those are all of those have between 2.5% and 26% within the top 10. I'll just mention him because he's important. The only other person with above 2%, which is number 11 on the list, is Brigadier General Lethbridge Stewart.
The Brigadier, yes. Now, I would like to ask, what is the fan love for Rose Tyler? I mean, really. of David Tennant's companions, I'm more of a Donna Noble fan than I am a Rose Tyler.
I can understand Rose Tyler up until the end of the second season. And then they keep bringing her back and bringing her back.
They only brought her back. They only brought her back once.
No.
No, they brought her back more, didn't they?
They brought her back.
Even the third series. Sure, she didn't appear, but she got mentioned ad nauseum.
Yeah, that was more of a problem with the Martha season than anything that was the character's fault.
I mean, that's kind of
in the third season. Fourth season, she kept reappearing, and finally came back all the way, and then got sent back again.
But the thing with Rose Tyler is, one, she's generally she was made to pretty much be the most relatable companion of the new series for several in several ways. So there's that going for her. Her being attractive is not going to hurt, and I would say that. Not saying that Freema Agyeman is nothing to look at, but of the pre-Amy companions, Rose Tyler would probably at least have the edge up on what the general populace would consider to be attractive.
Martha's way prettier. Screw all y'all.
At least that's my perception of the general populace's opinion.
I personally am not surprised to see Elizabeth Sladen that far in the list.
Yeah, she definitely deserves her position.
Yes.
If her and Rose were switched, honestly, I'd say that would be.
I'd have agreed with that more. Yes.
Yeah.
But Rose had a different sort of character relationship with the Doctor that I imagine appealed to a number of people. And as I've mentioned to you guys, personally, I'm a fan of her character arc, where she went from being this useless, annoying girl who, if anything, would have made me not watch the show past the first few episodes. It would have been her, to this character who is essentially, someone who's learned from the Doctor and is capable of acting the same way he would in a crisis situation by the time Doomsday comes around. And that arc appeals to me as a writer and a viewer. So there's a few reasons why it makes sense. Whatever your opinion of Rose, it kind of makes sense as to why a lot of people who are more casual fans especially would be drawn to her.
Okay, so off the top of y'all's heads, what's y'all's list of companions from 1 to 10?
It's like picking children.
Pick which one you love, Matt. For me,
there's two.
I can tell you my number one.
The thing is, for anybody who's watched a lot of the classic show, if do you have the link open from the Radio Times, Eli?
The Radio Times? No.
Well, if you look at the link that I sent in the Skype chat, there are. You can scroll down the page 2 or 3 times before you even get to the end of the list of companions. There's a lot to pick. It's like asking someone who's been playing, sorry, this is still a fairly recent news thing, so asking someone who's been playing every Pokemon game since 1996 to pick their favorite, there's a lot to choose from.
That's the next subject.
No.
Sorry. But, okay, who do you think would be your number one, then? Narrow that down a little bit.
God, it's still like picking children.
Yeah.
Who do you love the most? For me, it'd be Donna. I don't like her. I don't like her. I would not want to hear an entire audio drama of her, but I enjoy her character arc more because she goes from puny human to the Doctor's equal by the end for 10 minutes.
I think I'd have to go with Elizabeth Sladen.
There's Donna, there's sorry.
I'd have to go with Sarah Jane.
Ultimately, the only criteria I can really pick is which one would I like to see a brand new special with her as the companion. In which case, if that's a criteria I go with, I would have to say Ace. But if you change that criteria even slightly, there are 5 or 6 other choices that come immediately to mind. So even that, it's
because
like
really good list. Just off the top of my head, Donna's really good.
Oh,
Rose is okay.
Speaking of which,
Sarah Jane is really good. Jamie is pretty good once in a while.
I don't know that much about Victoria, but I'm kind of annoyed that Zoe got 0 votes.
Oof. Yeah.
Victoria really. These are both second Doctor companions, and Victoria, much like Mel, was pretty much only known for her screaming.
Which it's kind of funny that 2 second Doctor companions are at the bottom when the only companion that's exclusive to the classic show that appears on the top of the list is Jamie.
Because Jamie is pretty much hand in hand with the second Doctor. He's still,
he lasted through both of those companions.
Yes, he did.
And I think then some. And Ace is another really good pick.
Hey, where did
I missed it. How she's reacting to things.
What'd you say, Eli?
I missed it when you were making the list, and for some reason this page isn't loading for me. Where did the new one? What's her name? The one just recently,
Clara?
the newest companion. Yeah, Clara. Where did she rank?
Is number 9.
That's another grievance I have with this list.
Why is that?
I don't like her.
Yes, but she's a standing companion.
That's the thing. She's the new companion. The fact that she's not number 1 is kind of news.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Pretty much copy and paste.
And that says a lot about the writing because
there's so much that they could really do with her.
Going by what she's
out there as a good companion, but they are
going by
blowing it.
I'm just saying, going by what we've seen this season, she's a great actress, but
they're not giving her enough material to actually work with.
Yeah,
she's not giving her enough original material.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it is news that she's not in the top 3. I mean, Elizabeth Sladen, she's probably always going to be up there.
Honestly, if Amy didn't look so good in a skirt with the way she was written, I imagine she would be right around the same spot as Clara and Martha.
She don't look that good in a skirt.
Of course, the fact that River's song is number 4 is annoying me to no end.
Oh, stab!
I can't stand her.
Eyes, stab.
I wish you hadn't brought that up, Randy. I didn't notice that.
Yes.
Let's see.
Like I said, it's annoying me to no end. My hatred for River's song is on record here.
And just
Jack
FYI,
is 7? Are you kidding me with this shit?
How is he so low?
Who?
Are you?
How is
Jack Harkness is number 7.
He's right after Jamie.
Bullshit. This is bullshit.
He should be in the top 5.
He should be easily in the top 5.
He should be above River's song. I mean, it should be replace River and Jack, and that'd be about right.
And just FYI, this is a television exclusive list because I just Control F'd for Charlie and Bernice, and neither of them appear anywhere on it, even down at the 0 column.
Mm-hmm. That's
I don't
because
even think River's song should have been K9.
Where was K9 on this list?
Looks like about 20 or so without counting.
Yeah, he at least got above a 1.
Yeah.
He's not in the top 10. I can tell you that.
He's like 1.14%. He's just below Wilfred Mott.
Had K9 do anything lately either, to be honest.
And they gave he's just below Wilfred Mott, and wow.
Actually, you know what does surprise me? Rory Williams, if you pay attention to the internet a lot, seems to have really blown up in terms of popularity. He only has 1.8% of the vote.
Well, good. I hate that guy, and he looks terrible in a skirt.
I will kill you now.
You know, I'm looking at the Lobies, and I'm not overly surprised at that list.
You're saying
you've got Mike Yates at the bottom.
Chameleon, Sarah Kingdom,
Zoe, Vicky, Katarina.
I appreciate this fact, but it still surprises me the fact that Astrid is so low, because so many of the things that focus on a new series treat Astrid almost on the same status as someone like Martha, and seeing her low kind of makes me feel a lot better.
She
had one
Christmas
episode
special. Yeah, she had one Christmas special. She never really even traveled in the TARDIS. She just died.
Can I apologize real fast? Because I had yet to open this page, and I'm kind of a newbie to Doctor Who, and I didn't know that this was like a double-sided page full of companions. Jesus Christ.
That was my point, yeah.
And we were trying to point out the fact that if you think the Doctor list is hard to come up with, look at all the companions.
I had no idea there were this many companions.
And that's,
my bad.
At least for some of us, I mean, I'm sure...
And there's our companions that probably aren't on that list that some of us would argue are worthy of being companions.
And and let's see, I would probably put Charlie somewhere around... Looking at this list, I'd probably put her somewhere around the area of number 20 or so. She's not included. I don't know much about Bernice, but there's enough material about her for her to be in the top 20 as well. I don't know anything about Hex.
How the heck did Dr. Grace Holloway get a .11? She should be down in the bottom dwellers.
She wasn't. Grace Holloway.
I honestly wish she would have come back with more in more of the Eighth Doctor things, just to see how things went out with that.
I just cannot comprehend. I can't understand. Amy Pond and River Song beat Jack Harkness. I don't understand.
Rubbish.
I can see Amy doing it because she was the outgoing main companion.
You forget Jack Harkness was not a companion since he has not been a companion for 8 years now, and he has not featured on the show at all in about 5. So that's how.
But he was so iconic when he was there.
A lot of the people who would have voted for Jack are the same types of people voting for Rose, Donna, and even classic companions.
And also, it could be argued that Jack's character was kind of ruined during his stint in Torchwood.
Okay, I've only gotten to the second season of Torchwood. So.
He kind of goes emo.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Which, I mean, it does kind of make sense after thousands of years and a certain number of tragedies and such. You would be a little depressed.
He and that dude are such a nice couple.
Season 3 and 4 is probably the... Actually, a lot of people complain about him in season 2. I don't have as big a complaint because I do not consider him the main character like some people do.
He's not.
He's not. No, he's the main character is what's her face?
Gwen. Gwen
Cooper.
A lot of people seem to consider Jack to be the star of Torchwood, and I can't see it.
He is the main male lead.
Yeah, he is the main male lead, but he's not the main character.
I mean,
no.
He's not even my favorite character on Torchwood. I'd say he has the coolest story of them, but he's not my favorite character.
He's the one I'd most want to see in a firefight over the others, but...
Oh, yeah. He's a badass. he is a badass.
But then again...
I much prefer Gwen's story.
But then again, Sergeant Benton was never exactly the star of Doctor Who either.
No, but if you take Gwen being the star, the Doctor equivalent as far as...
Jack, yeah.
As far as who's the camera on, that would make Jack the Brigadier.
Yeah, that...
You wouldn't make him Benton, it would make him the Brigadier.
I mean, in terms of going by what I specifically had just said about the firefight, that would probably put him in Benton's place.
Well, the Brigadier did as much firefighting, too. I can't think of a single story he didn't pull out his pistol and try to shoot something.
Well, this contributes nothing to the plot, but I will shoot anyway.
Just checking?
just checking, Doctor. I'm praying for a threat that I can actually kill.
Clara had like 4 episodes. How did she beat Martha? This list
she's the standing companion.
There's just something about this list. They need to stop with
that.
We could go on for hours.
I would say not that there's not a lot to discuss here, but we do have a lot of other things to discuss as well. So,
Let's just say that we don't exactly agree with this particular list.
I'm not. It's not even a thing about it. I'm not surprised by it, and that's the main. I mean, it's if people could like, if you remember, nobody who voted was allowed to rank their companions from 1 to 100. If they did, we'd have a completely different list. So going off the fact that each person only had one vote, nothing surprises me here.
I would like to say fuck all y'all that voted River Song.
I'm pretty
That's
sure
right.
they're not listening to this podcast after my repeated railings against her during Series 7.
Shh, I'm in my happy place. I just insulted them. I'm in my happy place. I just insulted them.
You just insulted the people who aren't listening. That's awesome.
Yes. Shh, they're here. They're listening.
And if you're a fan of River Song, we invite you to go jump off a cliff.
Please.
Other news. During Children in Need this year, they aired a 2-minute. I think it was a 2-minute clip that is from Day of the Doctor, which is this coming Saturday's special.
Exactly 2 minutes and 7 seconds.
7 seconds.
So it essentially shows how Matt Smith gets involved in the multi-Doctor storyline. It doesn't really give away too much in the way of spoilers. There is a fez. They do lampshade it. Anybody else have anything to say about it?
Yes, Tennant wears the fez.
Oh, yes.
So wrong.
Kind of a spoiler, but the David Tennant sees a fez fly out of a hole in the sky. The first thing he does is put it on, and then look at the guy.
No, the first thing he does is look at it, then he sees Matt Smith come through, then he puts it on.
That's worse.
I'll air the clip again if I have
That's
to.
worse.
what I
That's
saw.
way worse.
Which kind of goes along with my point that the 10th Doctor should have been allowed to wear a hat. But I guess they wanted his hair to have fangirl magnet powers.
And it does. My girlfriend will tell you it does.
In other news, Eli's girlfriend recently left him for David Tennant's hair.
If she could, she would. That's not news. That's just fact.
Yes, but you know that's relatively a constant. Tennant was a favorite of the female viewers, and it probably was the hair.
For a start, yes.
Which honestly I find that hilarious because one of the first conversations that the 10th Doctor has with Rose, who is generally smitten with him, is basically her not caring about his hair, other than the fact that it's just sort of brown.
One time I was going to go as that doctor for Halloween once, and my barbershop would not cut my hair that way.
Well, see, I went as him for Halloween, but I had just shaved my head, which is kind of a good thing because honestly, it takes an entire my hair is generally under a quarter of an inch. If it even at that length, and especially if it were any longer, it takes a very significant amount of gel to even make a difference other than making it look greasy, because my hair is just too thick to do anything with.
Yeah, and some people can pull off that hair, some people can't. So your barber was probably looking at your head going, I can't do that.
Oh,
they legitimately laughed. They laughed at me and they said no.
And as he's playing the clip, reminds me of something they don't really mention it in the show, but if you look at the pictures with the glass missing, it seems like there's something actually 3D past that, like they're actually gateways to another planet or something.
I noticed that too.
Actually, Clara actually said 3D again, so that might actually have something to do with
True,
what's going
and that
on
was,
in the plot.
I think that sentence got cut off by the beginning, right? Because I think that's the only...
Possible.
It sounds like...
No. That wasn't cut off from the beginning, because them was in the previous room where Matt Smith got the facts.
Okay, so it's part of the previous scene, probably.
Possibly.
And maybe that's probably why that, what was it, a 7-second clip or whatever that was shown previously was her saying that's impossible. That's probably why.
Maybe.
So in other words, not only are we getting a David Tennant story, but we're getting Harry Potter paintings.
Oh, fuck's sake.
Fan fiction writers that Randy hates, rejoice.
And if you have any hair tips, please send them to the...
Actually,
Matt, you have somewhere to
I've read a few, Doctor Who, Harry Potter crossover fictions. A couple
are
of
they?
them I really liked.
The
Some of them I really hated.
the Tenant ones though.
No, those I despise.
Okay, those are the ones I'm talking about. And I apologize if you guys are hearing me coughing. I haven't been too bad with getting over my cold, but I guess since I've been talking so much more in the past hour than I have over the past week, it's just bothering my
Acting up again.
Please tell me you have a glass of water or something.
I have a glass of coffee, which is so much
That
better.
works. Just
Nailed it.
something to soothe your throat.
Yeah.
But no,
Cranberry juice works for me.
I have read a lot of Harry Potter fiction. There was one alternate universe fic I really liked because it was actually that Harry Potter was raised by the Rani, of all people. It made a lot more interesting characters.
Well, this was when the Ronnie was on Middle Earth experimenting with rabbit growth.
Bill, do not make me come out there and hit you.
I will travel to hit you for that one.
I will drive all the way to Connecticut just to knock on your door and punch your lights out. And then I will drive all the way back.
Ding dong
Not
punch.
funny! Drive back. I think that was the sound of Randy leaving.
And I don't think the lady wearing Tom Baker's scarf appeared in this clip.
Nope.
I don't think she's really relevant. As much as the people on the internet are going out, I think it was just a kind of
It's
tongue-in-cheek reference by Moffat.
yeah. It's more at the status of where we are with this. It's something worth occupying ourselves with, rather than something I expect to really be significant to the plot.
Yeah.
I don't really think it's worth occupying ourselves with at this point. And now I'm hearing feedback.
Yes. Now
So
I'm
am I.
hearing a little bit echo.
I wasn't.
Then it's you.
Testing?
Talk now.
No, I'm not getting it now.
Okay, yeah, it
I
sounds
was
fine
good.
now. Okie doke.
Okay, I think we've talked on this one.
Yeah. Unless
Okay.
someone has a specific comment, I think our next piece of news is the science of Doctor Who.
Yes. With who is it that was on that's doing that?
Brian Cox is the name of the guy.
Brian Cox. Yes. Anybody here know who Brian Cox is?
I imagine he's related to Perry Ulysses Cox from Scrubs.
You
perfect
could
world.
imagine, but no, he is a experimental physicist. He works for the Royal Society University at
Bill,
the
you
University
made
of
me-
Manchester.
It
He is.
would have been so much more cool if it was Brian Greene. No.
He is kind of a more upfront version of Stephen Hawking, and less, disabled.
Mm-hmm.
But he does a lot of talk shows, a lot of specials on BBC on the subject of that. So he's kind of taken the place of what's his name? The guy that used to do all the astronomy talks on TV and stuff. The Billions and Billions guy.
Oh, I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of his name either.
Because he used to do all the talk circuits and everything, and now it's apparently Brian Cox doing particle physics. So basically, what he's doing is he's sitting down, with Matt Smith's 11th Doctor and arguing out the science behind the TARDIS, behind the rest of the show.
And I've got to say I'm annoyed by the trailer because, one, they include a reference to Journey to the Center of the TARDIS, and two, they keep using the word black hole while showing a picture of a star
dying
that is
supernova.
clearly not yet a black hole. Like, it is clearly in no way black or a hole. And they keep calling it a black hole.
And at the same time, that makes me want to watch it because I want to see if that's addressed.
Me.
That'd be amazing if it opens up with, you see that thing you've been using in all the trailers for this thing? Yeah, you're a retard.
No, I'm just wondering if that scene continues with him looking at the screen going, "That's not a black hole."
That's not a black hole.
Let
That's
me
a dying
stop you right
supernova. What are you smoking, Doctor?
Let me stop you right there. That's not a black hole.
You'll keep using the word black hole, but it doesn't mean what I think you think it means.
I was mentioning this last night at my gaming group, and one of my friends, every time we brought up the fact that the TARDIS was powered by a black hole, and it was supposed to be the ultimate technology, kept clearing his throat and going, "Romulans! Romulans!" Because if you know your Star Trek, the Romulans' power cores were powered by a microsingularity, which is essentially a mini black hole. So apparently, the TARDIS is powered by the same thing that powers a Romulan warbird.
Microsingularity kind of makes a bit more sense as a power source than every single TARDIS having its own dying star inside it.
Yeah, and considering how many TARDISes there were in the war, that would mean that they would have had to basically tear apart a galaxy.
I wouldn't put them past it the way the 8th talks about it.
Yeah, considering how infamous the Time Lords were in, by the end of the
Great Time War.
Hey, the galaxy. I mean, the Daleks took over the star system. Well, we'll just take their star.
We'll take this one.
We'll just turn all the stars into black holes and shove them in our TARDISes. There we go.
And we'll all give them the bird as we fly away in our little boxes.
But no, this is going to be a very interesting special. I actually want to see this. It is on Monday, if I recall.
Did we establish that it was on a channel Americans don't have?
It's on BBC America, and it's what time was it?
It is 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, and again at 1 a.m. Eastern, midnight Central, for those that might miss it. I am hoping... Oh, and right before that's another special, Tales from the TARDIS. And that's a behind-the-scenes kind of thing, with all the actors and producers over the last 50 years.
And yes, if people miss... Oh, actually, this is probably even harder to see, but if people who miss it, the first day, The Science of Doctor Who is airing at 4 a.m. Eastern on the 22nd, so that would be Thursday night.
I'm glad you said that about the 50 years, Randy, because I was thinking when you were saying it's behind the scenes with the cast, I was like, I don't care anything about hearing from Matt Smith, Stephen Moffat, or whoever the hell.
They're probably all going to be there, but that's not going to be just who it is.
Yeah, I might actually watch that since it's like past stuff too.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, speaking of which, actually, I saw a clip recently with Colin Baker and a couple of the others. I believe it was Sylvester McCoy and 8th Doctor. Brain shut down on me. But in this particular clip, they were talking a little bit about behind the scenes at Doctor Who, and they got on the topic of Daleks. Why are Daleks so popular? Why are Daleks so scary? Even Colin Baker admitted, he first admitted the fact that he originally, when he started the show, didn't really see the threat in them. However, during his particular Dalek serial, he was at the studio late, and the lights were on low, and he was actually about ready to head for home, and he had to go through a room. In this room was a single solitary Dalek in low light. As he walked across the room, he suddenly noticed that the eye stalk of the Dalek followed him. And for a moment, he became absolutely possessively feared of Daleks, and he came to find out that one of the crew guys was actually inside the Dalek, oiling it up because it was making a squeaking noise when he moved the eye stalk, and it was driving him crazy.
I still think the best story about Daleks comes from the filming of Sylvester McCoy's Dalek episode.
Oh, that too.
Tell me that one, Bill. Tell me a story.
That was the one where they were filming, within London. I think it was an abandoned building or some such, and someone heard the explosions going on and called an ambulance. Called 911 or whatever the equivalent in London is. So the ambulance driver is on their way, and they just see they see a whole bunch of smoke, and then a squad of Daleks emerging from the smoke toward them. And for a second, they were convinced. I forget if what they said, but I know they said for at least a split second they thought the Daleks were actually invading London.
Sylvester McCoy actually did see the ambulance drivers, and he just saw them first stop because they saw the smoke, and then their jaws drop as they see these Daleks coming out of it.
Yeah, I think that's what the official thing was. Yeah,
That's the thing. Daleks are such pulp culture in England.
it would be the
That, yes.
It would be the equivalent of seeing something that looked like, I don't know.
It would be like the equivalent of the Borg or
Not even
Sif or something walking down the street of your town with explosions following them.
It would be more like if Darth Vader and a squad of stormtroopers just showed up in New York City with no explanation, with blowing things up.
Yeah, with pyrotechnics going off all around them. Except
for the fact that, due to the 501st Legion, that's not exactly an uncommon sight. So that's why I'm trying to think of something that would actually shock people to that extent. And
I can't think of anything that would shock people in New York.
This is true. Actually, I think...
Oh, the explosions going off? It's the Sith invading again? Oh, it must be Thursday.
I think the convention goer that fought that used a katana to stop a robbery on the subway shocked people.
You wouldn't think it would. However, there's also a couple of other specials coming to, I think, both BBC and BBC America.
Good God.
And these are going to be on Friday, one of which is Doctor Who Explained. And this is another behind the scenes where it's basically kind of explaining, who is the Doctor through interviews with cast from the last 50 years. So it's another behind the scenes one. And then we have, of course, An Adventure in Space and Time. This is a drama retelling of the creation of Doctor Who in 1963.
Essentially a biopic if they were about shows instead of people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when was it? Was it Friday at 9?
It is airing Friday at 9, 8 Central, and then Doctor Who Explained is just before it at 8, 7 Central.
Oh, they're showing it twice back to back for anybody who comes in late.
Correct.
Excellent.
And then that's all, of course, a lead up to the actual broadcast of Day of the Doctor, which is at 2:50 Eastern, 1:50 Central. We were just arguing that prior to the podcast for those that tuned in the beginning. Bill was of the opinion that was the time it was on in England, and if it was, then the simulcast would have been at about
I kind of
7 a.m.
I'd kind of mixed up the plus and minus 5 thing. That was probably the main cause of that confusion.
Yes, it's -6 hours here, so it's -5 hours in Eastern time. But yeah. So it will be on at 2:50, 1:50 Central.
Although I don't know why they're not airing it at 5:15 GMT, but I guess there's something else at that time.
It's possible. I was just actually trying to look it up on the BBC's website, but I'm not seeing it off the top of my head. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm on the Doctor Who schedule at BBC. Oh no, that's BBC America anyway. That's not.
Yeah, I would have to look at the BBC's schedule. And I used to have that bookmarked, but I don't seem to have it anymore. But, so yes, it's going to be a whole week of Doctor Who programming. And that, I believe, takes us to our next news, and the biggest news, I believe, of the week thus far.
Unless we want to talk about that image, if it has any importance.
No.
Okay.
I'm not going to speculate.
Got you.
At this point, we've got 6 days. We've got not enough information. All we could do is sit here and speculate. And blindly.
Oh, come on. At 5:20 on the 23rd, they're going to be showing the news. They can't interrupt the news for a proper 50th anniversary special.
I believe part of it was also so that it wasn't airing at the AM here. Because now they are actually... It is airing...
Oh, yeah, it would be fucked up in California and such.
Yes, it's already bordering on being messed up in California. And this is being simulcast worldwide. Which means it is also being simulcast in Australia and any of the other Asian countries that are interested. Already, it's late night viewing for India. So, I think they decided that was the best possible time.
No matter what time you air it, someone's getting screwed.
Right.
Yes, well, that's also why they're having the secondary 3D viewing in theaters on the 25th. And by the way, I can confirm I will be going to that. It has that viewing has been so popular here in Madison that they actually added another showing. Originally, Point just had a 7:30. They've added a 10 o'clock showing.
There is no theater showing of that thing within 100 miles of me.
Really?
Where are you?
I'm in small town, southern Georgia. Actually, that's not true. I'm up there by Atlanta, kind of, but...
Yeah, I think there'd be something in Atlanta.
I can't imagine Atlanta wouldn't be showing it.
No, that's just the nearest city, big city, to me, Atlanta. I'm not right by Atlanta.
So that probably will be the go-to
what,
place.
It's a 7 to 8 hour drive for me to get anywhere.
What's
Okay,
your,
there's gotta be closer, dude.
What's your zip code? If you don't want to say it out loud, you want to just Skype it. I'm looking it up at Fathom right now.
Ah.
If it wasn't for my town being so small. Thank you, Matt. Completely defeated the purpose.
Well, you're supposed to type it directly to Bill, not through the group chat.
Yes, this is on me.
Use Skype more often, Smack.
That's fine. That's fine as long as you don't type your physical address.
Yeah.
All they know is what area, and unless
If
somebody's
they
sitting
look
there
for
with
it.
an orbital kill sat, yeah, I think you're
You know
fine.
what? Screw it. Come see me. I don't give a shit.
It is zoomed out pretty far, I guess. Yeah, it says, I guess, Savannah and Bluffton. Are those anywhere
Way
near
far
you?
away.
Ah. Like, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, why is there a National Wildlife Refuge taking up a very small center in the very center of the screen?
My county is a whole just like WTF. That's all my county is.
You thought I lived in Mayberry, Jesus. At least if I wanted to go see this in theaters, I only have to drive an hour.
Matt, I will give you my address over Skype, not the stupid thing.
Not the group
'Cause
chat.
I don't want to get that personal with people who want to stalk me, but
All the River Song fans, he's about to share his address.
you want to get back at me? Here you go. But to find my house, you're gonna have to look on Google Maps. You're gonna have to go through about 6 farms, several small towns, at least.
So anyway, I guess our next thing of news is going to be our mini review of The Night of the Doctor. Yes.
Yes, that's what I was getting to. Yes. This was the biggest news we have. This is what the BBC refers to as a red button event, which is if you're in England and you have a licensed television set, your remote has a big red button on it.
However,
that should always be pressed.
I do appreciate the fact that they did not stop people from sharing it on YouTube and everything else for people who do not have that red button.
Yes.
Oh yeah, they could have been complete douches about it.
Yeah,
they wanted to.
Mm-hmm. But basically what the red button is that it's at certain times, you can press it at certain times and it will take you to special programming. And this was a special programming event. And this was the the mini-sode, and at this point actually starring, and I will actually say that this is a bit spoilers if you haven't seen it, the Eighth Doctor, Paul McGann. This is, of course, McGann's actual first airing of anything video since 1996, and also the second thing he's ever aired, since his first was, of course, the ill-fated movie.
Mm-hmm.
McGann is known mostly as the audio doctor, since he has been doing loads of things for Big Finish. And basically, this actually is his regeneration special, as he then proceeds to regenerate into John Hurt.
The War Doctor.
Yes, that's
Yes,
what they're
they
apparently
officially
calling
dubbed
him
him
now,
the
is
War
the War Doctor. I'm not sure what Stephen Moffat was thinking when he decided that, but
I'm really not
Whatever.
under. He's really giving me mixed signals. He's not the Doctor. No, he's just the War Doctor, but he's not the Doctor.
yeah,
Damn it,
Like-
dude.
make up your mind.
Well, I mean, we knew that even in Name of the Doctor, when we were like, but he's me, but he's not the Doctor. Introducing John Hurt as the Doctor.
The Doctor.
Yeah. It's like he can't make up his mind. Will you make up your mind, please, Stephen?
He needs to decide if he's the Doctor or if he's the Renegade or the Warrior or whatever they want
Either
to call
that,
him.
or just quit and let Nick Briggs take your job.
Pretty pleased with sugar on top.
An interesting tidbit about Paul McGann, and if I say anything wrong here, I'm sure Randy will correct me. But the Eighth Doctor was already featured in a sort of time war through, I believe, the Virgin New Adventures. So this kind of, by showing that the war started before McGann regenerated, it can kind of be said to link that into a long extended time war, going from that to...
No. The time war that McGann was
Like, it was a
in
completely
the
different
Virgin
enemy,
books
but...
was
Bill, you made it 30 seconds.
was Faction Paradox. And
I thought Faction
were-
Paradox was an alternate ending to that.
well, the group was called Faction Paradox.
Okay, I got
What
it.
happened was, after Virgin Books folded, the BBC didn't want to continue with that storyline. So the guy then proceeded to go off and basically continue the story, but taking Doctor Who out of everything.
Mhm.
But, and that series of novels is called Faction Paradox.
Right.
But still, I would not consider this to be a linker.
And by that, okay. Well, like well, possibly just because I haven't read any of it. I was just. Do you know anything about the placement on within the Eighth Doctor's timeline of where that war takes place? Like,
It took place at various points throughout the Doctor's life. At one point, Faction Paradox went back to the Third Doctor and actually changed it so that he regenerated before Planet of the Spiders. Yes, they actually altered the main TV history in that novel series.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I would
That's
start
about the
officially drawing the
point.
line of no.
That's about the point that I think the BBC was reading it and went, oh, hell no.
Got you.
Don't make things any more confusing than what they already are. Thank you.
Yeah, it was, the series really went off the rails.
Now, however, on another thing that's more likely to be linked, but will never probably be officially so, the Big Finish series Gallifrey, I believe either the most recent season or the upcoming season, does feature Daleks invading Gallifrey. So that is,
And they might actually be leading up as close
Yeah.
as Big
they're
Finish
probably
can
going
get.
as close as they're allowed to the Time War.
Yes. And that's actually a little interesting because Big Finish is known now of the Time War for almost 10 years. Because the Time War was first featured in the 2005 series, and they probably even knew about it ahead of time since Nick Briggs was in on a lot of the production scripts. So,
Yeah, especially considering it has to do with Daleks, so you know they were throwing a lot of words at Briggs.
right.
And he's a good writer and director, so
Since he was supposed to, he wasn't there. Correct. So since Briggs is now the executive producer at Big Finish, he would be gearing it so that it kind of falls in sync. The fact that in this very TARDISode, Paul McGann basically canonizes all of the Big Finish audio, at least his,
Yeah.
by naming all of his Big Finish companions by name, means that more and more Big Finish is becoming more in the line than it had been before.
Although I've got to say, when I first heard that girl, Cass, I believe her name is, her voice, I was really hoping that was Charlie for a second.
I thought it was either Charlie, or I was wondering if for a moment there, before I looked at her face close enough, if we were dealing with another version of Clara.
Ah,
Kind of glad we weren't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Still, it was also, as I was mentioning, you can actually start seeing the bad reputation the Time Lords had gotten
Right.
during this minisode, as it's like, at least I'm not a Dalek, and her response is, what's the difference anymore?
I thought that was pretty telling. I liked that.
Mm-hmm. Actually, for what this is, I liked it. I'm
Oh,
still...
yeah, for an 8-minute mini episode,
Yeah.
it was great.
Well,
it had a great quality to it.
I'm still not sold on the whole John Hurt being inserted retroactively into
Right.
the list of doctors. That kind of pisses me off at Moffat.
Yeah,
But-
I don't
Stop.
blame Hurt at all for this. This is all Moffat's fault. If he continues to screw it up, I'll lay on him even more for this.
Shouldn't everybody be moved up? Why haven't we moved everybody up a number with the introduction of John Hurt?
Because he's War Doctor, not an actual number doctor.
I'm kind of one. Well, no, because it matters because of the number of regeneration. It means that
speaking of the number of regenerations, now would be a good time to bring up the setting of the special. This is the planet's name is Karn. Yes, not just to call it the planet as well.
Yes.
This is the setting of a Fourth Doctor episode known as The Brain of Morbius. The big controversy about that episode is that there were extra faces shown in a scene that was essentially going through the Doctor's regenerations, which has been read by many to imply that William Hartnell was not the first Doctor. Now, while this has generally been ignored by continuity... Go ahead.
The actual faces were part of the production staff at
Right.
the time.
And while this has largely been ignored by continuity, considering the debate that has come up recently about whether or not Capaldi would be the last Doctor or the next Doctor would be the last Doctor, and how Moffat is going to get around the regeneration limit, I can't help but see this as Moffat poking the bear in terms of, hey, remember that episode that implied that there were actually 4 more regenerations before the one we know about?
So not only am I fucking up your continuity, I'm fucking it up majorly.
He's reminding people of the fact that the continuity hasn't always been stable in that regard more than
I
anything
don't
else.
really think so.
Oh.
I don't think he's using this as a gigantic troll. I think he used Karn because it needed to be Karn. Because Karn was the only one that actually had the ability to give the Doctor back his life.
Right.
True.
Using the flame of
But
immortality.
one has to sit there and wonder a little bit, though, too, because it isn't exactly the first time Moffat has unofficially trolled us.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the case. I do like the fact that they used Karn because it's for once Moffat using continuity correctly.
Right.
And the fact that the actual air date, the first air date of this episode, was actually on Paul McGann's birthday.
Oh, nice.
So it was essentially a birthday present to Paul that he finally got to do his regeneration. Because it was something that he had lamented at fan panels before, at conventions, that it was one of his regrets was he didn't get to pass the torch. And now he kind of has,
the torch
albeit
still has not been passed to Eccleston properly, but...
And we may actually see that in Day of the Doctor. We might. I will remind you that it was just a week prior that the Sixth Doctor had gone on media blasting Moffat for not including any of the previous Doctors in the 50th anniversary celebration.
Including
He
Paul.
mentioned Paul by name.
And
And then-
Paul had previously gone on record, after it was rumored that he had gone to the BBC to film something, he had stated, no, that's not the case, we didn't film anything for this. So there's communication going on that they do not want this stuff to get out.
It's disinformation, and Christopher Eccleston is in the same boat. He has gone on record
We know if this also could be the Sixth Doctor and so forth trying to cover their tracks, saying that no, we're not part of it. Yes, we are.
No.
Wink, wink.
It's the tone in which the Sixth Doctor said this, the fact that it was not a response to media questions, it was him actually making a speech. And it was a speech essentially damning Moffat for doing this, basically calling him a new series elitist, essentially. In Colin Baker's own little arrogant way, makes me think that he is out of the loop at this point.
Maybe.
But, if you were going to knock a doctor out of the loop, it would most likely be Colin.
Ouch.
Well, Colin has the infamy of being asked to film his regeneration sequence and saying no.
That's
Which,
because
albeit
he's
it was-
being
it
treated
was-
by
it
had a
a
reason.
bunch of
It was a-
douchebags.
It was a bit dickish of the BBC at the time, considering he had just been fired. But he had also not had the world's greatest ratings as the Doctor. He
Which
has done
again
a lot
was
better
not necessarily
in
his
Big
fault
Finish.
either.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it is. But he is a bit of an abrasive personality. I mean, there's a lot of his Doctor in Colin. He's not the nicest guy.
I don't expect him to be the greatest guy,
Well,
but
he
still
actually
got
he actually
points.
is a nice guy, but he has a bit of a big head.
So you're thinking that he was being unprofessional by not doing that?
By what?
You're saying
By not filming his regenerative...
No, I'm not saying that at all. He was in a bad position at the time, but it doesn't put him in the greatest light at the BBC. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, I get what you mean.
Yeah, but I don't think I don't think anybody who knows the story would really go and call Colin out for not doing his regeneration. I don't think any of us would have done it in that situation.
I'm still saying though that it doesn't paint him in the greatest light in the corporate sense of the BBC. So if the BBC was going to snub a current surviving Doctor,
It would be the one that didn't play ball.
correct.
Even though they were playing a really nasty, angry ball with him.
Like they were using...
That doesn't matter to
Yeah,
the corporate mind, Matt.
They were playing jiggly ball while the other doctors got to play tennis.
Yeah, they wanted to play griff ball. That was too nerdy for you guys.
Is there anybody we haven't alienated with those two references? Because we can come up with another one.
Yes, bye, audience.
I actually think of it as the BBC playing Calvin Ball, but that's really dating myself. For those of you that don't know, Calvin Ball was played by Calvin and Hobbes, and the rules changed with every round.
So now that it's just us.
If we're explaining jiggly ball is when JD is convinced that a game exists and therefore is lured into a circle to be pelted with tennis balls.
I fucking love Scrubs. If you don't know what griff ball is, just go. I don't want you here.
I'm sorry, I don't, and I'm not leaving.
Oh, damn it.
I'm not leaving. I like it here.
Well, like is a strong word.
I don't mind
But
it.
yes,
It fills in my day.
Going back onto track here, did it seem like they had de-aged Hurt for his little picture there?
Yes, they
used CGI.
They used footage of a younger Hurt. Yes, it was archived.
Okay.
I thought it looked pretty okay for the 10 seconds, too.
Mm-hmm. They've been very good at that recently.
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty good for the 10 seconds we saw of it.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm not fond of the whole inserting John Hurt, but the rest of this I liked immensely.
They're showing that it's not being entirely slapdash with this.
Yes.
Now, why it wasn't Chris or Paul to begin with is a whole different question, but they're at least giving it some respect.
I don't understand why he's kind of gotten to the point where it's here now. Oh shit, I didn't really think it through. How do I make it seem like it's not just thrown in there?
It's honestly, we don't really know that till we see the script of the final thing. This could have been the plan all along. Like, for all we know, he's been planning this specific special for 5 years. We don't know.
Don't think that's the case.
I highly doubt that.
I think what is happening, and I could be completely wrong on this, this is pure speculation, is that Moffat has a plan to address the 13 regeneration limit. And he wants to get to that.
And that's something where this really could have done that, and that might have been what Peter Davison was talking about when he said that Moffat had written out an explanation.
No, I don't think so, Bill. I think that's going to be something we're going to see in the upcoming
possible.
The upcoming season with the new Doctor. What's his name again?
Capaldi.
Capaldi, thank you. I wanted to say Pacaldi, and I knew that wasn't right. Anyway, I think that's a plot that's going to come up during the Pacaldi era. And Moffat wants to make sure that happens during his run as showrunner.
Mm-hmm.
So he needed Pacaldi to be the 13th and final Doctor.
You know you keep saying Capaldi, right?
God. Bloody hell. Capaldi. To be...
I was going to see how long it took him to realize it.
The 13th and final Doctor. So, he wanted to make sure that he was able to do that. He was only up to 11th, and he knew he wasn't going to stay through 12 into 13.
Even though 10 had an extra regeneration, so that would kind of put Capaldi as the 12th regeneration in addition to being the 12th Doctor.
Yes, but I think he's going to ignore that. Because everybody else...
You mean Stephen Moffat is going to ignore something that Russell T. Davies wrote into the show?
No! Exactly.
You're blowing my mind here.
Yeah, it was. I was surprised.
Next you're going to tell me that people don't consider the production staff of The Brains of Morbius to be previous incarnations of the Doctor.
But regardless, what this means is that he wants it to get here. So he's adding John Hurt as a way to go from 11 to 13.
So you think that after the special, we're officially going to have to move up our Doctors one number?
Possibly. 12th Doctor, 13th Regeneration, whatever you want to call it. But whichever, that means that he's going to be at the end of his life, and Moffat can actually deal with this using whatever piece of universal retcon he can do.
Now,
yes.
There's always the possibility that this was intended to show McGann regenerating into Eccleston, and Eccleston said shove off. But if so, we're never going to know it, at least not for another 10, 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so have y'all seen that new trailer where Capaldi is talking about being the 13th Doctor? Or the 12th new Doctor, he says. But it shows all the regenerations happen?
There's several trailers like that.
Are there? Okay, I just saw one on IGN, and I watched it. And John Hurt's Doctor is in the list.
Yeah, probably just inserted.
And Capaldi didn't use a number when he said I'm the new Doctor. So I'm thinking they're going to move up all the numbers.
Which, like I said, is one of the things that will annoy me.
Well, if
because
they do,
that'll say that you'll say the 11th Doctor, and you'll never know if someone's referring to Tennant or Smith.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. If they do, they're going to start it later. Like they wouldn't turn around and be like, oh, we're going to call David Tennant the 11th Doctor now, because it would screw up too many things and make things too hard to work with for the BBC. if anything, they would keep it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, War 9, 10, and then start talking about whoever comes after Capaldi as the 14th or whatever happens.
Actually, it might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, War 9, 10, 11, 13.
Yeah.
Either option is going to win.
Most
There's
likely,
really no way for me to come out of this happily.
Considering that they very rarely do this anyway, I think the Doctor is just going to stop using numbers in the show because he's only done it, twice?
I can think of twice. No, maybe 3 times?
Regardless, it's kind of it's going to be kind of an add-on here, and we're kind of moving really, really slowly.
Yeah. The one last thing I want to say about this is it does give kind of an excuse. There's been some talk about why the regenerations has gone from being a unique thing with each one and has become more of a constant thing. Well, actually, it doesn't apply to all of the situations, but this is a possible remedy to that because this is induced rather than natural, and it could have affected his regenerations afterward.
That doesn't explain the Master, though.
It doesn't explain the Master. No. It doesn't explain Jenny. It doesn't explain River, but it could be considered an attempt.
I personally just think Jenny is the Doctor's daughter.
It was the episode.
No, not who. Not who, where. I haven't thought about her until now.
Oh.
Yeah, that's because she was made during the RTD era, and thus Moffat ignores her.
Son of a bitch. I would like that. That sounds cool. Wait, that could actually be really terrible. Never mind.
It could go either way.
Besides,
if it's in Moffat's hands, it'd probably go even worse.
That, and she got pregnant after that episode, I believe.
Yes, she did, with Tennant's kid.
He just completely wiped his brain from him now.
And Eli is having the aneurysm over the massive incest that is the.
Here's the thing. People talk about the my wife's mother pregnant with my wife thing going on with the whole Day of the Astronaut or whatever the hell it's called, Day of the Moon. But that's nothing compared to the real story of the Doctor.
I'm looking this up right now.
So Eli, get this.
The Doctor married the Doctor's daughter after she starred in The Doctor's Daughter.
Yes, let me explain this to you, Eli. Jenny was played by Georgia Moffat, who is no relation to Stephen Moffat, but is in fact the daughter of Peter Davison, the 5th Doctor. So the Doctor's daughter is literally the Doctor's daughter. Georgia Moffat met Tennant while on the site of filming that episode, and the two of them basically started dating.
And her son was already a huge number 10 fan.
Mm-hmm. And 10, of course, being a huge fan of 5. Basically, the two of them got married and have had at least one kid, if not 2. So,
okay, that's
the
less
Doctor's
gross.
daughter was the daughter of the Doctor, and yet married the Doctor, and has produced issue. This does mean that the 5th Doctor is now the 10th Doctor's father-in-law.
Which means that
I thought you were telling me they went full up Game of Thrones when I wasn't looking.
No, but if anybody wants to play banjos during this, I'm perfectly game for that.
I have one in the corner. There's literally, I'm looking right at one if you want this to happen.
So my thought is in about 30 years or so, we're going to see a Doctor that is now related to both the 5th and 10th Doctors coming on screen.
It's
going to be like the family line of
they've
Doctors.
Both been hoping for is possibly having a grandchild that would eventually become the new Doctor one of these days.
Or eventually they'll have a child that will marry, like, into the Pertwee family, who will marry into the Troughton family, who will marry into the...
Dr. Prime.
Yeah.
We shall give birth to Dr. Prime, The combination
And eventually
of all
through this-
the heritage in one.
Eventually, through this intermarriage process, somehow the kid will develop two hearts.
It'll have no toes.
And now I've suddenly seen the picture of the chocobos that you breed during Final Fantasy VII.
Alright, and with that...
So what happens to all the chocobos that you don't keep? I just send them up back, and you see chocobos getting eaten by bombs.
And with that, I think now's the perfect time to go into our alleged focus of this episode.
Alleged
Which is not incest. Which is not incest, surprisingly.
Talk about Light at the End.
Oh, is that the
Okay.
11th?
What? Huh? Ooh, what?
Is that the 11th? Light at the End?
About Eli.
No, that was the Big Finish special that we listened to for this episode.
The 11th.
No.
No,
I think
Light
you're
at
thinking
End
of the
is
Time
special.
Machine. Yeah, the Light of the Dead was the multi-doctor story that we were all planning to talk about today.
Oh,
Did you
okay, never
listen
mind.
to the wrong thing?
Maybe.
I don't think the Time Machine is out yet, is it? Unless it just came out.
It is.
Because I've been checking for it like every day since the beginning of November, and I haven't seen it
the
on
11th
yet.
Doctor story? Yeah, I already got it.
Oh, it must have come out one of the days I didn't check, so probably within the past 3 days.
Yeah, because we're only up into the audio go review of 2 enemy aliens, which we're going to do next 2
Not
weeks
next
from
week,
now.
yeah, the week after next.
Okay, I'm on track now.
So did you listen to Light at the End then, or?
I did not.
Okay, I'm like, I know we had been talking about multi-doctor specials and such, but
You got confused as to what we were doing.
Yeah, I got a little bit confused. How bad?
Don't worry, you can blame Bill.
I will, though.
Yeah, well, we also lost a week, and we were actually supposed to be
Yeah, we were
doing Light at
supposed
the
to
End
do that,
like
but
last
everyone
week.
got sick and stuff.
I think that's what got me confused, because I thought with how Bill gave me the schedule that was this week when we were doing Light at the End.
No,
That was-
last week we were supposed to do it when we were sick, but we didn't get to Shockwave until last week.
Okay, that's what
this
threw me
week.
off.
This week was supposed to be Enemy Aliens, and then we were going to do the Day of the Doctor next week, which we still are, and then do 9, 10, and 11 for the specials up until like the Christmas special. Instead, because of the week that we all had the flu, Shockwave was last week. Now we're doing Light at the End. Then we'll do the special. Then we'll do 8, 9, 10, 11. 8, 9, 10, Christmas 11 probably.
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna be over here in the corner then. That's cool.
Light at the End is a special. It is starring the 4th through 8th incarnations of the Doctor. There are minor voice roles that were cast for the 1st through 3rd Doctors. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was the actors that played Ian and Jamie, and then a new actor for the 3rd Doctor. Let me double check that on the 1st Doctor to make sure I'm not being a fool of myself.
Get Jamie in there to do.
I know it was definitely Fraser Hines that did the 2nd Doctor.
Well,
And
considering how well Fraser Hines did the 2nd Doctor for the audio go reading, I'm not surprised.
Obviously, he can do it, and he can do a whole lot more if they wanted him to.
The problem is I don't think I've seen this in text anywhere. This is only going off of when I listen to the behind-the-scenes disc, so I'm hoping it's written down somewhere now.
Hey, yeah, the guy who did play Ian.
Yes, the 1st Doctor, William Russell, which is Ian.
Okay.
The 2nd Doctor, Fraser Hines. The 3rd Doctor was played by Tim Treloar, who has absolutely nothing to do with Doctor Who. Until now.
I think he's played 1 or 2 like minor characters in Big Finish stuff, but nothing of this
I'm
important.
surprised they didn't get Sean Pertwee to do it.
Oh.
That would have actually been pretty cool. Yes, that's John Pertwee's son, who is an actor.
Oh. Okay.
he was in, I think, Formula 51, or as it's known most other places, the 51st State, which was a movie with Samuel L. Jackson, and I think he played a cop in that.
Okay.
But yeah, he's an actor, and he does sound a bit like his father.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
And in addition to that, we've got many returning companions, some for main roles, some for minor ones, and as well as some simple archive footage. We have Jeffrey Beavers playing the Master as the Master from
The Fourth Doctor era.
The second Fourth Doctor. So this is for him. It's post. Damn it.
It's right after Logopolis. Or
This is the
Logopolis.
Doctor from Keeper of Traken. It hasn't happened for him yet, but he's in that form.
Oh, you're talking about that one. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Wrong Master.
Yeah, Logopolis is still in his future.
But then there's the other Master who's apparently normal looking, and that's after Logopolis at some point.
Yes. Yeah, so we're dealing. I consider that to be the 5th, 6th, and 7th era Master. So the Fourth Doctor is the decrepit-looking one. That was played by I think Jeffrey Beavers in one role, and then somebody else in the first.
It was Jeffrey Beavers in Keeper of Traken, and I know his name starts with a P for the Deadly Assassin.
Peter
Jeffrey
Pratt.
Beavers version. Yeah, there we go. And then we have our aliens of the episode, played by Nicholas Briggs, and we also have his son playing a little boy. I mentioned that because on the behind-the-scenes disc, they mentioned they delayed recording his lines until as late as possible, so that his speech could get as far along as like his ability to speak, because he's a child, could get as far along as possible before they recorded it.
His son, by the way, is Benedict Briggs.
Yes.
And yeah, he plays. He has a little like one scene role in here. But let's see who all gets credited in this. Leela, Nyssa, Perry, Ace, and Charlie are the main companions.
And they were chosen because they were the first Big Finish companions for their respective doctors.
Also in here were audio clips or minor dialogue from Ian Chesterton, who was also doing the first Doctor, Susan Foreman, Vicky, Stephen Taylor, Sarah Kingdom, which I think was all stock, Polly, Jamie, Zoe, Joe, Tegan, Turlo, and then the extras. I'm surprised there was no stock audio from Sarah Jane.
Yeah, I'm
that would have
surprised
been
on that
nice.
too.
Yeah, I think the closest we had the Doctor saying "Come along, Sarah." I think that was the closest.
But we never actually heard stock. Would have been nice.
Yeah. I was about to say. Oh, in terms of the plot summary, all I'm going to say is that I don't know. I was going to do some twist on the speech from Blink, but I'm just going to say things happen. It's a mess, and reset button at the end.
Yeah, I have
There's
to
too
say,
much to summarize.
Starting off automatically with the review of this, that for a episode that in the end undoes its own existence, it's still the least hurtful of the this actually didn't happen episodes ever.
That was actually my exact criticism of the Sirens of Time, which was Big Finish's first Doctor Who production and their first multi-Doctor story, and that is, it would have been nice if they didn't require a reset button that prevents the Doctor from remembering it, but at the same time, the rest of the story is well done enough that I can forgive that.
Mm-hmm.
And you say that about this or not?
I would say so. I mean,
this was confusing to no end for me.
Oh, I got it all the way through as far as I'm aware.
Ow, I unfortunately had to take it in segments. and that might have hurt my listening to it.
Maybe, because I
Might have.
sat down last night and listened to all of it, even to the point that I should have already been in bed.
Yeah, I was planning on doing that this morning, but I overslept. So I didn't actually. I only got to listen to the second half,
I can see
and
why
I listened to the first half like 2 weeks ago.
I can see why it would be confusing because there's several focal points here. Like there's the weapons factory that is also powering the thing. There's the Big Bang plays a role. There's the 1963 plot, which plays a role as well. And there's also a lot of characters to follow when you can't see anything that's going on.
That's the problem, I think, for me, is that it's basically the focus gets shifted too much.
Yeah. For example, honestly, I love the Seventh Doctor. I love Ace. You could have cut them both completely from this, and it would not have diminished the product, except for the nature of it being a five starring Doctor story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have to admit that some of the other Doctors played a much bigger role in this.
Yeah,
Although they did have a cool moment when they're trying to run back to the TARDIS.
And I've got to say, at least he's the only one that I would honestly say that about. Really, the Seventh Doctor is the only one that is arguably superfluous, and I just enjoy those characters enough that I can kind of put up with that as long as it doesn't hurt the story, which to me it doesn't. But if you get too confused, it would. The Fourth Doctor plays a fairly good role.
And I think that's part of Big Finish wanting to use the Fourth Doctor as much as possible since they have him now.
Yeah. The Fifth Doctor plays arguably the most important role in the fact that he's the one that inadvertently causes the problem in the first place by being the one who falls into the trap.
And thus sending in the others.
Yeah. The Eighth Doctor is basically the first one who gets trapped, which is why Seven and everything are there. This is essentially a case of, the first Doctor that gets caught in pretty much defines how many incarnations of him are there. Because while the Eighth Doctor is essentially the frame and the kind of the glue that holds it together, he could have been replaced with an earlier Doctor if they had so chosen.
Sure. The only thing that would have changed is maybe a little bit of dialogue here and there.
Yeah, the dialogue would have been changed, the companion would have changed. Those are really the only things that would have been very different without him.
Does anybody want to try to do a review of the episode, or not? I mean, a summary.
I would. I would. The thing is, I at least have to be gone in 20 minutes. So if we do, then I'm not going to hear anything that happens afterward.
I will try to summarize as briefly as possible. Again, I'm going to skim over details, so please don't stop me. Essentially, in short, what's happening here is that the Master has coaxed a weapon out of the Time Lords because there's a special sector of Time Lords who are watching how weapons are being developed in the rest of the galaxy. And by doing so, they're kind of officially there. And because they crossed paths with the Master, they kind of pissed off the Master, so in order to keep him off their backs, they had to allow him a weapon, and in allowing them this weapon, he used it to try and get rid of the Doctor. At first, the other Time Lords that are there were like, oh, it's not going to really do anything, it's just going to get rid of the Doctor. Good, he's been a pain in our side too. But then they begin to realize that this weapon is essentially erasing the Doctor throughout history, and doing so, he is undoing everything the Doctor has ever done, which means that even the Time Lords are beginning to realize, oh shit, this is something that really shouldn't be happening, and tell this group of guys to undo what's happening. At the same time, some of the earlier doctors are trying to send a warning to some of the later doctors by putting in a installed blinking red light. And instead of warning them not to go to the date that they suddenly see this button linked to, they go there unwillingly and start up the whole trap set up by the Master. As things continue to progress, the older doctors do start to get mental, not exactly mental, they get to see like spectral images of other doctors and other companions throughout, and eventually learn enough that they also get the Sixth Doctor to make the alternate dimension where this weapon factory is to become stable, so that more than just him can be there at the same time. With this being stable, they can finally make connections, especially with the Fifth Doctor, who is probably the most psychic out of most of the Doctors, to be honest, and he can make a mental link for all the Doctors. With this now finally established, they finally figure out what the Master's plan is, and then not only send the Fifth Doctor back to undo the damage caused, and also stop the weapon from being effective, because essentially what this weapon is that if a person finds out about a TARDIS for the first time and calls it unbelievable, he will essentially explode the TARDIS and undo all of time. And by going back and introducing the man to a TARDIS before the time that this weapon was planted on this man, they will then be able to undo the explosion that would result in destroying the TARDIS. And lots of crazy antics ensue, including knocking the Master out of time because all 8 Doctors suddenly now realize what happened, what's going on, and go back after the Master.
So I'm guessing none of y'all really cared about this that much?
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it as well.
For me, like I said, it was a little disjointed. And
again, this is skimming down things a lot.
Yes, it is.
It did take a lot of work to specifically make the plot more convoluted just so that there was enough room for 8 Doctors to be in it. So that I could definitely see that turning some people off, and in certain situations it would have turned me off as well.
And also, it's kind of a going example of what not to do in the Doctor's timeline, because he crossed his own timeline repeatedly, and not just the Doctors meeting up. I mean, okay, so they're doing this to destroy the TARDIS. We'll go back and stop that from becoming possible. It almost boils down to Curse of Fatal Death levels of, I knew you were going to do this, so I did this to prevent that from happening. That kind of eats at me a little.
They did a Batman.
Well, the thing is that they did a whole mental link up thing, like I mentioned with the Fifth Doctor, and because of the mental link with the Fifth Doctor was able to send a little bit of information to the Fourth and Eighth, who are with the Master, who then finally got some more information out of the Master, and sent it back to the Fifth, who can then go back and completely undo this whole destruction of the TARDIS.
And it's a solution method that I've seen. Really, I've only seen it in Big Finish, and I think they use it very sparingly, and that's because it really does go against the rules of the show.
It does.
They really only use that for those stories that they really have no choice, at least in my experience anyway. Like I said, Sirens of Time was the only time I've seen something similar, and that was in many ways a very similar story. It was created as a multi-doctor story, with that being the end goal, and therefore they had to make some sacrifices in the writing, largely because they can't really, they're not writing for the ongoing show, and therefore they can't really affect the future of these Doctors. Except for maybe McGann.
To some extent, yes.
It's a shame they're so limited, because they have a lot of talent.
They are, and I agree, and that's why we've been talking a little bit on this podcast about why Nicholas Briggs should really be the showrunner and how he would do a great job. And
Still, though, if this is what he's coming up for with this kind of convoluted time logic, I might start retracting that opinion.
I still would totally go for this over anything Moffat's been doing lately. Yes, it's a bit convoluted. Yes, it can be a little harebrained and crazy, but you know what? It still doesn't make my head hurt.
It also doesn't make you seethe with rage.
It doesn't make me see with rage, and it also doesn't make me see red everywhere I look.
No, you just see fezzes everywhere you look. Come on.
Twitch, 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 river song.
Fucking River Song be Jack Harkness.
Ah! Actually, I've seen both of those actors together at conventions, apparently.
I think I'm just here to divert conversations, because all I ever do is cause, segues.
But as crazy and as overcomplicated as the script is for this, I enjoyed every minute of it that I spent last night. Otherwise, I wouldn't have stayed up late to finish it.
Right, and that's where a lot of the contrivances, at least I found, that I could forgive just largely because of what they were, the scope of what they were doing, and the fact that everything else about it was done so well. I'm fairly certain the score is entirely original, and they really went all out to make this a special episode.
Mm-hmm. And in case you also didn't notice, the opening for today was especially the theme that they used for the second track, disc 1 of this particular story.
Well, I actually didn't because I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, me
But,
neither. So
but
what
yeah,
y'all saying is that
I actually did like the new theme that they used for this.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit metally, which I kind of liked.
But it also still had an underlining of the original score, too.
Yes, it did.
Of a lot of all, like, I think there was
of
all of the original scores in there.
Even some of the Doors scores. Because it also had a bit of the brass and timpani from...
So are you guys saying this is like the equivalent of a popcorn flick for a Doctor Who story? Is that it was a lot of fun, but it did have some problems?
It was pretty much put there as a way for fans of the first 8 Doctors to say, here's something to be fans of the first 8 Doctors about, and that's pretty much what all it is.
It had a lot of the same problems that the 5 Doctors did, and that is the fact that that you're trying to write for so many characters that you're cutting back and forth so much that you kind of lose your place. And also,
and this one was also the fault of the Time Lords.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But it's also, the kind of, I don't know, the time logic behind this one does make my teeth hurt a little.
But again, not nearly as much as something by Moffat.
No.
I would point to you again to Angels Take Manhattan.
No,
fucking Statue of Liberty is an angel.
No, this actually does hurt me on the. This actually does hurt me on the same level.
It doesn't nearly as much.
Because it's just so much of you don't do that.
Like I said, it doesn't follow most of the rules established in the show, and that was an issue with it seems, at least from what I've seen, it seems to be a Big Finish multi-Doctor story problem. Would you say it was internally consistent?
Internally consistent with what?
With itself, and that's like he mentioned, Angels Take Manhattan. There was a problem there where there seemed to be multiple types of paradoxes that contradicted each other within one episode. I don't think this quite reached that level.
No, it did not.
No. But I think, though, a little of my pain was alleviated because the fact that they started addressing the paradox issues at the end of it. I just also didn't like their solution.
Mm-hmm.
Still, altogether, I quite like this. I would enjoy more of this.
What would you guys rate it?
Oh, gosh.
I would probably give it a 4.5 out of 5 because the problems that Randy is specifically describing are literally the only thing that I could consider to be a problem in this special.
And I would actually consider those to be actually nitpicks, whereas they're not the main focus of what this is about.
Well, that's why it's
the resolution
and not a 4 or less.
It's the resolution, which is my issue.
And yeah, I have to agree with Bill. That I would give this probably a 4.5.
How about you, Randy?
I have to give it a 3. I like the doctors in here. I like their dialogue. I dislike the resolution to the plot.
See, I didn't find that much. Me and Bill didn't find that much of a problem in it, but apparently Randy does. I'm not sure why.
Like I said,
Wow, that was
basically
aggressive of you, Matt.
It
He
basically
has his own opinion. Sorry, Randy, you were saying?
it basically results in paradox.
Well, trying to even erase the Doctor from history results in a paradox, dude.
No, not really, because it's somebody doing it from the outside. But okay, it basically results in a grandfather paradox.
Yes.
And I hate those.
And
Judging from what y'all have told me through the plot summary and your own personal descriptions of it, my rating would probably be closer to Randy's. I can't give one because I didn't read it, or rather listen to it. But I'm going to side with Randy.
Dude, give it a listen. Then you can make your own opinion.
Screw you, Matt. This is the internet. I can do that.
And I think I think the main reason I can be so accepting of it is, I mean, I keep making references to Sirens of Time, and that's pretty much it. Because
Sirens of Time had very much I had very much the same issues with.
Right, and that's since I've seen this before in that, and that they're both, from the same production company in the same series, I can see this as well. We've seen that in the past when the damage to time was so immense that the only thing the Doctor could do was change his own timeline. It's been done, and therefore I could kind of say, okay, this is that same thing happening again. The damage to the timeline is so great that the Doctor must resort to this, and it takes all 8 of him to do it.
Yep.
It's just, I don't know, it just hurts me. Because even the resolution that they came up with doesn't really break the grandfather paradox. And yeah, the grandfather paradox is kind of the end of the universe shattering paradox.
And I would say by most science fiction definitions of time, what this would have essentially done was split off into 2 separate universes, one where the Master's plan worked and one where the Master never conceived of the plan at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what the resolution would take.
Except you realize that in splitting it, you're violating one of the rules of the universe in the first place, and that matter cannot be created nor destroyed.
I don't like
the Future 2 on this.
I would say a lot of the multi-worlds definition of, or not definition, but theory is essentially that every action creates an alternate universe. So.
And I hate that particular theory because it basically negates time travel as a possibility. Because you're creating that with everything. Therefore, with time travel, no, you couldn't be creating it with everything because they would have always have existed. Trust me, I could argue this one.
Myself.
Back to the Future has some horrific time writing.
And cheesy dialogue.
Oh, it's 80s. I love it.
Matt, you are my density.
What?
You are my density, Matt.
I still... What? You're my what now?
Density.
And
I still
apparently Matt does
write
not.
it out. I don't understand what you're saying.
He is
Never
quoting
mind.
lines from Back to the Future that you are apparently forgetting.
Yeah.
You.
That's my favorite line of that whole friggin' movie.
Which one?
You Were My Density? Wasn't it the first one? I can
Isn't
hear
that-
Bill seething from the segue already.
No, I'm not mad. I'm just actually I just started thinking about the fact that I have to leave very soon, and if this does continue without me, which I would not be against, we would have to end the call because
Actually,
I'm hosting
we've done the rating, we did the review. We really got not much else to say about it, I don't think.
Yeah, we're just kind of mucking about. Actually,
Especially
at this point.
since only the three of us have actually seen it.
Right. I mean, and there's
And
a,
Matt
there's
and
a lot of,
I could argue temporal theory till we're blue in the face.
And
It
still
doesn't
not
make Matt right.
each other
and
happy on the
yeah,
topic.
and there's a lot of plot details that can be discussed as well. But yeah, it is running long for the cast, and we started late as well.
Yes,
Thanks to
and
me.
I might have someplace to go in like 2 hours, or I might not.
So
Mhm.
4.5,
So I do-
4.5, and 3. What's that up to?
That gives us
On
a
average?
4 out of 5 average.
I hear clicking.
Yes, it does. Because we can't include we can't include Eli in there because he didn't do the homework.
Right.
Right.
Smack his hand with a ruler.
So next week, those of you who do not have BBC America and don't know whether or not you're going to buy tickets, tune into us at our same Doctor Who time, same Doctor Who channel, and we'll tell you what we think of Day of the Doctor. So we're probably going to try to start without spoilers and then go into them gradually, but
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
As of
I would
now, I'm gonna
just
say
I
no
would I would
promises.
just like to state that at this point, if you don't want spoilers and you're not seeing it on the 23rd, don't listen to the live stream.
Yeah.
Catch us after you see it.
well,
I have a-
on the
figure
pre-recorded
I
podcast.
figure part of what I'd like to do is give people some indication of whether to watch. So maybe we'll do like a 30-minute spoiler-free thing and then go into a regular episode.
30 minutes. I would be surprised if we
don't
go 10
know.
minutes about spoilers.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it.
I have a
think it would
feeling we're going to
best-
be raging.
I think it would be best to give the warning now.
Yeah.
Give the warning before we start the
Be
podcast.
prepared for spoilers if you listen to us regardless.
Yes.
If you're
I
not
would-
prepared for spoilers, I would say just keep up with us on Twitter.
Normally,
Even then, I don't know.
normally we wait a week and let you actually have a chance to see it, but this is like the only window we have.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, what
This is
is your what are your predictions? What do you predict is going to be your reaction?
This is either going to be glorious or god awful.